3 points. You were only able to score 3 points in a dome. 3 points in a dome. Three. Three. No touchdown. One field goal. Not even a few. You couldn't even get to nine. You couldn't even get like three field goals. Make me feel like you was at least kind of moving the ball. Nah. One. One field goal. I'm so glad I didn't post a prediction to this game. Because coming into this game, I thought we were going to get a fun, high scoring game. Or not a high scoring game, but points would be scored. Points will be scored. Ohio State just scored 8 points. I know they technically scored more than one, but they only scored once. Other teams scored twice. I really did think this was going to be an electric like game. I thought Missouri had the weapons on the outside to at least give Ohio State some trouble, and they had the quarterback and running game to do so. And while the running game part did kind of work out in their favor because as the game went on, the run game started to take a toll on Ohio State because that defense was on the field for so long because the offense could not sustain a drive at all, even though the defense, especially early, kept giving them chance after chance to get in the rhythm by getting the ball back. Like, I know in my, like post game thoughts from the Ohio State Michigan game, I said that the Ohio State defense did everything they should have and they gave this offense a chance to win the game. I know a lot of people didn't agree with me, and I understand how to like an untrained eye it could seem like that. And I still do believe that about a Michigan game. Ohio State's defense did what they were supposed to do. The offense just couldn't capitalize. This game, that is just exactly what it was. The defense balled like Ohio State hasn't had this good of a defense since that 2019 year where they had Chase Young, Jeff Okuda, Malik Harrison, Brandon Browning. Did they have Tough Boy in the middle? No, I think that was after that. They had they had Jordan Fuller in at safety. They had Damon Arnett, who's out the league right now for holding the gun. And then they also had Sean Wade. Like that defense, that defense is on par. I mean, this defense is on par with that defense, and Ohio State did nothing with that. You don't even win a bowl game. You don't even make it to a Big Ten championship game. You win nothing with that group. And I don't know what to say because if you told me coming into the season that Ohio State statistically would have like a top 5 defense in the country and have a defense that only lets up like 11 points per game, I would say, "Oh my god, we are winning the national championship, but we don't even make it to the playoffs because of the offense." And in this game, we lose this game because the offense couldn't even just be average. They were terrible. Like, and I understand that they literally were down to their third string quarterback. They were down to a freshman quarterback in Lincoln Caholtz. I don't know how to say his last name, but I know his first name is Lincoln. Down to a freshman in Lincoln that was definitely throughout the season he didn't think he was going to be playing football this year. He didn't, and I understand that feeling, but still, like you weren't able to get anything going. And I understand not being able to throw the ball at that point, but they weren't even really able to run the ball. Yes, Travion Henderson was able to rip off a few runs, but like the offensive line is not what it should be. Like you should be able to in a game like this lean on that offensive line, and they could not. They were getting blown up. They were getting handled even at the start with Devin Brown. And honestly, part of me thinks that even if Devin Brown was playing that we would have got the same result because this offense just looks so lifeless. And I understand that yes, you're already down to your backup quarterback. And now I truly do see why that Kyle McCord was our starter if these were the other two options. And also makes me think what's happening next year. Like so far, they weren't able to get anybody in the portal. They weren't able to get really like any of the guys that I really liked. Like you weren't able to get Dylan Gabriel. You weren't able to get Riley Leonard. You weren't even able to get Malik Murphy, who would have been a very interesting guy to see in this offense. You weren't able to get anybody as of right now. I know there's talks that like Will Howard is basically secretly already signed to Ohio State, and I personally don't know how to feel about that because I haven't watched a lot of Will Howard. Like, excuse me, but I don't really watch a lot of Kansas quarterbacks play. I mean, this new one they got, I think his name's Avery Johnson. Is cold. He's a fast white boy, But so I don't really know about him. But it's like, is Aaron Noel finna be the future? And I'm fine with him being the future, but is he ready to play as a freshman? Because it's looking like that's what's gonna have to be. And you weren't able to run the ball, and you weren't even getting creative. Like your two backup quarterbacks, Devin Brown and Lincoln. I'm not gonna even try to say his last name. They are athletes. I didn't see enough read options, triple options, enough of using their skill set to your advantage. That's what I thought was going to happen coming into this game. I thought we were going to see a lot of read options, even some borderline triple options, every single type of option, sprint outs, things to get these quarterbacks comfortable. And I just didn't see enough of that. I put a lot of this loss on Ryan Day because yes, I saw you pull a trick play out where Mecca Ibuka threw a pass downfield. That was honestly actually pretty good. Maybe we should have put a Mecca at quarterback. But it's like I need you to pull out everything. You don't like look so basic, and I understand you have a backup quarterback, but you have to do more. We were up for a majority of this game 3-0, and we couldn't win. We couldn't. And and honestly, like for Missouri, they got some dogs. Cody Schaefer, that running back, is a dog. I really like him. Brady Cook, I think that's his name. I'm probably butchering his name. Let me. Oh, Brady Cook. I was right. I feel like there was another white quarterback that had that exact name, so I thought I was wrong. I thought I was being, acting like every white person about every black person. Oh, they all look alike. But he's a dog. I literally text my dad like he's willing to die for this game. Like the way he was running and the way that was running him, and he wasn't avoiding contact. He was running straight to it. Like they got some dogs over there. They got some dogs. But the thing is, we were containing those dogs for most of the game. Luther Burden and Theo Weiss didn't have the type of game I thought they would. I thought those electrifying playmakers will show why. I thought Luther Burden was going to have him a nice little game, but he didn't, and we still couldn't win. 3 points in a dome. 3 points in a dome. In the best environment, you get 3 points. 3 points in the dome. I'm gonna keep saying that because it is crazy. Like, oh, this is one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen from Ohio State. This is worse than that one in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. I remember this vividly. It was the year that Penn State probably should have made it to the playoff because they beat us in the regular season and they even won the Big Ten championship game. But we made it in mainly because we won that last game against Michigan, and it was JT versus Deshaun Watson, aka I need a happy ending, and it was 30-0. And that game wasn't as embarrassing as this game because not to diminish Missouri, but that was Clemson. That was in the playoff. This was in the Cotton Bowl against a really good Missouri team. But in all honesty, given how this game went, we should have blew them out. And I hate being the coulda shoulda woulda guy, but that's true. When your defense plays this well from the start, getting so much pressure. Jack Sawyer was just picking up Missouri linemen and throwing them into Brady Cook's lap. We were tossing that offensive line early in the game around like rag dogs, getting sacks, getting pressures, getting off the field quick, getting them. They were mad at each other. I remember one time where Luther Burden, he was open on the hitch. Brady Cook missed him, rolled out his way. Luther Burden ran down the field open, and Brady Cook couldn't find him. And we had them rattled, and we couldn't do nothing. And they just stick to their game plan. And not honestly, they didn't stick to their game plan. They changed the game plan. They said we're just gonna wear them down. Like this team has a lot of questions going into the offseason because you lose a majority of your starting skill. Like, of course, Marvin Harrison didn't play in this game. You lost Kyle McCord to the transfer portal. Also lost Julian Fleming in the transfer portal. You lost Chip Trainum to the transfer portal, which I think also did affect this game because they didn't really have any other real running backs. I mean, I didn't see enough of Dallin Hayden, which is confusing me given how big of an impact Dallin Hayden made in like 2 games last year. And ever since then, we really just haven't seen him play. Like we saw him more against Georgia than we did in this game right here, which I feel like is a game that you use 2 backs because you can't block. And also early in the game, they had a defensive lineman in there for blocking, and they stopped doing that They did that with Devin Brown, but they didn't do that with Lincoln. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, and then back to my point. You have a lot of questions next year because you lose Marvin Harrison, you lost Kyle McCord, you lost Julian Fleming, you're gonna lose Emeka Ibuka. Out of your running back room, you already lost Chip Trayanum, you're losing Travion Henderson, you've already lost Mayan Williams. These were all impact players. You're losing Caden Stover. Like, these are impact players, and I understand that we have talent behind them, especially at the skill, especially at that receiving position. But it's like, is the person manning it going to be good enough? Because it doesn't matter how good your weapons are. The person manning it has to be good enough to get it to them. And I know I think this is my like 100th time saying this is I understand that we're on a third string quarterback, but at a school like Ohio State, your third string quarterback is expected to be better than a lot of people's backup. But I know it's different now because now we're in the era of the transfer portal, which means the talent is so dispersed and spread around because everybody wants to play now, and not wait, which I have no problem with, but that's just how the game goes. And now I'm looking at this game like, you, what are we doing in the portal? We have to get somebody because I do believe Aaron knows the future. I think he is going to be the quarterback of the future, but is he going to be ready as soon as he steps foot on campus? Because if we continue to look like this, he's going to have to be. Man, I'm gonna do a more in-depth review of Ohio State's season and really asking what is next. This is honestly just my blunt reaction to a game where it was like, I I don't have a problem with us losing, which sounds crazy because if we did lose this game, I'd be like, oh, that's unfortunate. It's the way we lost it. If we would have lost a 45-38 game or even just a 24-31, like a close, good ball game where there was points scored and we looked our the offense looked good for spurts, but it just didn't. I don't know. I don't know. Ryan Day, you I've always been one to say that you're not in the hot seat, and that's a stupid take. And let's be realistic about it. But it's starting to simmer. It's lukewarm, and the temperature's slowly rising because your unit looking this bad in the biggest game of the night that the whole nation's watching is not a good look. Everybody was watching this game. This didn't happen at the same time as that Georgia Florida State game. This is the one people were looking at, and you do this. Hmm. Yeah. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend, and just let me know your opinions, Ohio State fans. Talk to me. I'm just as confused as you are because what the fuck was that?